Justin and Jiah are a couple of guys who know they're gonna die, so they're biding time by consuming content and wasting their breath. It's a podcast called Amusing Ourselves to Death.
Hey everybody, welcome to Amusing Ourselves to Death, a podcast about the art we enjoy and the media we consume to distract us from our impending doom. My name is Justin Passano.
I'm Jiah Peck.
And hello. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Sorry. We were just...
Do you want to start?
Not really.
As Justin hit play on the theme song, it was playing in our headphones, and he took a big sip of tea or coffee or vodka.
I'm drinking a homemade cappuccino.
Homemade cappuccino at 4:49 p.m. on a Sunday night.
I think it hit me all at once just then. No, I was just thinking about the chips. We were just having that conversation about the Ruffles chips. I don't know
all
why.
dressed Ruffles chips. I asked you, like, are these... They're all dressed. I'm thinking like all the flavors combined on potato chips, like it's the equivalent of like a suicide soda, just going down the conveyor belt and just loading them up, scooping piles of sodium onto each piece of bread that gets baked into a chip. Mm-hmm. That's how chips are made. They're just pieces of bread, right?
Yeah, they're just pieces of bread. If you watch Claire on Bon Appetit, pastry chef makes gourmet foods, she makes Ruffles, and that's how I learned about this flavor. She uses a Dremel to get the ruffle ridges.
A Dremel.
The Ruffles have ridges, as they say. Okay. I think I'm okay now.
You good?
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Well,
this is this is Amusing Ourselves to Death. This is a podcast where we talk about movies and content and video games and whatever we love.
It's mainly just been movies and video games so far.
Yeah,
we did that one thing on a TV show, and hopefully we'll do another television show.
Yeah, I'd like to. It's a bigger commitment than like
it is.
Something that's only 2 hours.
But it's like each show is just like 4 or 5 movies. So we could
true.
do it.
It's true. Shows have just pretty much become movies, right?
Video games are now just like
movies,
books with a lot of pictures and interactivity.
Yeah. There's some games that you don't even do anything. You just watch them mostly.
Speaking of games, Justin, you've been playing something this week.
The format of the show.
The format of the show, yeah.
Yeah, this is Amusing Aperitifs. This is what we've been amusing ourselves with this week. A small little nugget of a thing. I've been playing a video game called StarDew Valley. It is a game that I don't know if the developers made anything else. I don't know anything about this game. I downloaded it on a whim, as I think I told you before, and I always, when I was a kid, wanted to play Harvest Moon.
Which is a farming simulator?
Kind of, yeah. It's like it's very...
this was bigger before all like the social media farming simulators that like come boggled with ads and spyware and...
Right.
The addictive quality of... Well, they're all addictive, and really. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, you're not like paying money to buy more,
right? Back when you just
jewels,
I want a game.
I'm
gonna
get more levels. Yeah,
I'm gonna pay the money for that game, and I'll have the game.
And then the game ends at some point.
Yeah.
But no, what I always understood with Harvest Moon is that like you can get married in it. There's like you meet the towns. You have a farm on the edge of this town. You're interacting with people. You're like selling your goods. You're buying seeds. You're planting more stuff. And as a kid who how do I put this? Always likes to have his little ducks in a row. I like organization.
It's a duck game.
It's like it's Untitled Duck Game. Anyway, like I've always been like a person who's like I like making lists. You know what I mean? I like methodical things where it's like, oh, kids in Harvest Moon, for what I understood, and that's just how this game is. You got to go to the store, you buy your seeds, you till the soil, you put the fertilizer in, and then each square you have to water each plant individually and like you have to tend to everything. Like there's no, I think later in the game you get like automatic sprinklers, but I'm at the point now where I'm just grinding, where I'm waking up at 6 a.m.
Ooh.
And it takes me a couple minutes to water all of my crops because I have to go to the little pond and refill my little water can and then walk all the way back and then water them some more.
Do you think video games fulfill like this desire to live out like what our lives could be if there was just like some more structure and order to them, and they wasn't as chaotic as real life is? Like you talk about lists. That is also something I just love making. I loved making the list for the thing more than doing the actual thing.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. Like I love just like I was talking about like the Marvel comics a couple weeks ago. I was just like, I got a list here. This, if I complete this list, then I will achieve like self-actualization, and I will somehow step off this mortal plane, and I will get an achievement in life.
Yeah, and then the video games give you that achievement. Mm-hmm. You get to upgrade things. I would agree. Yeah.
Okay.
This game is like that, where it's very, very much an escape. Like literally, like I downloaded it because I was like, oh, I just want to plant some crops. I want something. I just finished Control, which we have an episode coming up like about Control, or maybe it'll have already come out at this time. Oh no, it'll be coming out maybe week after this episode drops.
Time's an illusion.
Time's an illusion. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I downloaded this. I was like, oh, I just want a stress-free game where I can just like, I'm just going to farm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I downloaded this game, and it opens with just a shot of your grandfather on his deathbed talking about how
I didn't sign up for this.
Giving you you find out the deed to his farm to be opened at a point where you feel that your life has lost complete value. And then it cuts to a hard cut to just you in an office, which I can only describe as much like the opening as Joe versus the Volcano, which ties into what we're talking about today loosely, where you're just working in a cubicle and you hate your life, and then you open the drawer and you remember, oh, I have the deed to this farm. And so you quit your office job and you move to StarDew Valley to start your own little farm.
So you're saying we should all quit our jobs and move to a farm?
That's what the video game's saying.
Maybe we should listen.
I'm getting there. I mean, I've learned more about gardening from this game than anybody's ever told me personally, or that I've sought out in real life. But yeah, it's fun. It's relaxing. It is a lot of grinding, where it's just like kind of just doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm mostly
what's that like?
Yeah. Well, I'm mostly having time because you wake up at 6 a.m. when the rooster calls every morning. And then I finish everything, much like I do in my life. I don't take breaks about anything. So I finish everything by 7 a.m. And then the rest of the time is just like, how do I fill the rest of the day? Because I can't go to sleep at 8 a.m. You can if you want to. Mm-hmm. You could just skip the whole day.
Right.
But it's like, well, I guess I'll wander around.
Burn the day away.
Yeah. So that's been the challenge up until recently, is just figuring out what the hell else I can do in this game, because nobody wants to talk to me.
Oh.
There's this guy named Shane in the game who specifically, whenever I try to talk to him, says, I don't know you. Why are you talking to me? My best friend in the game so far is a homeless man who lives in a tent, and all the other townsfolk, he says, throw rocks at his tent, and he digs through the garbage for food. And then, this isn't a farming simulator. There's also a wizard.
This is a life simulator.
Drugged me.
Oh.
And now I can see creatures of the forest who I now have to harvest rare fish for, so they could give me packets of seeds. I highly recommend this game, but it's not a farming simulator at all. It's some kind of, when you play a record backwards and it says to, follow Satan.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's kind of what this game is, except more wholesome.
Okay.
I don't know.
So you learn a lot about farming and seeds and wizards and people that don't want to talk to you.
People that don't want to talk to me. Specifically, I went to this dance. There's this dance that happens in the game at the end of spring where you're supposed to pair up and find a partner. And I asked everybody. One woman literally said, ew, no. Somebody was just like, honestly, I just don't want to dance with you. It's, you know what, Jiah?
I think I'm going to
lonely.
I think I might try to get a refund on what I just bought.
It's lonely in Stardew Valley. Nobody likes me. I have a cat now. The cat seems to like me. I don't know. I refill this pot full of water, and I think it's for the cat, and it disappears. But I could not fill the pot sometimes, and the cat seems to live. This woman Jody mailed me a letter asking for fresh cauliflower for a recipe. And so I woke up at 6 a.m. and I harvested my last cauliflower, and I walked to her house, and I realized that her doors don't open until 9 a.m. So I stood outside her house in the rain. And as I'm standing there, Shane walks by, and he didn't want to talk to me. And so at 9 a.m., I burst through Jody's door, and I'm like, hey, here's that cauliflower you want. And she's like, oh, great. I'm going to make a curry. And she said, this looks great. Thank you so much. And then I turned around and talked to her son, and her son was like, Mom's actually making lentil soup tonight, so Jody lied to me. So I can't trust anybody in Stardew Valley except for the cat.
I'm just thinking of like the video game designers back in like the 1970s who like first came up with like Pong and Pac-Man and Donkey Kong. Like, this is gonna be a thing that's gonna be fun. We're just making I think it's a fun product that kids and adults alike and just.
We're gonna make it less like real life.
Yeah, we were all sick of real life. Let's find a way just to kind of distract ourselves and add some gameplay to it. And now look where we are now, where it's we're looking for fun in our real life, but going to video games for the pain or the awkward reality of living on this planet with other people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's StarDew Valley.
Okay.
I look forward to hearing your thoughts.
I'm gonna definitely try it out.
Yeah.
So, based on this review.
Yeah. What are you amusing yourself to death with this week?
Well, I had
Jiah?
a weekend. So, I had like a 7-hour day. That's not like a weekend. Well, just to preface
some people it is,
to preface
sadly.
this, there's this this obscure Jewish philosophy in the Kabbalah that some people believe that heaven and hell are real.
Oh, I can't wait.
And they, for the righteous man, but they're real, but they're the same thing. So for the righteous man, heaven is spending eternity just hanging and reading the Bible with Jacob and Abel. But for the wicked, it's doing that same thing, and it's just fucking, they just want to bounce. It's terrible. I spent 7 hours at Sopranos-Con on Saturday. It was the first annual HBO Sopranos convention held in Secaucus, New Jersey.
So it was the first one.
First annual.
Because I've never heard of this until this.
Nope, this was the first. I'm sure there were probably smaller events over the years, but this was the first Sopranos-Con where they had
acknowledged by
just
nationwide.
The fans. It was very clearly on all the brochure and all the literature. For the fans, by the fans. So this was not an officially HBO sanctioned event. It was held at this convention center it's called the Meadowlands Exposition Center. And it was simultaneously heaven and hell in terms of The Sopranos is a show that I have a very deep history with. I can go into all that. But also is just a kind of a mobbed event with about 10,000 people.
No pun intended.
Yeah. All the worst things of conventions were $15 for a $5 slice of pizza, one bathroom for all those bear shits full of baked ziti that people were taking.
God.
But you spike there. It was very well designed with lots of love and care and just respect for the show.
Okay.
It was a lot of the actors were there to sign autographs. That's not something I was doing personally. They had a panel with Alan Sepinwall and Matt Zauerseitz, who wrote a book called The Sopranos Sessions, which came out back in January for the 20th anniversary of the show.
Are they connected to the show?
No, they just wrote about it
fans.
extensively.
Oh, okay.
Well, they're authors. They're TV critics. And
okay. I didn't know if they were
Stone.
writers or producers or something like that.
No, there were no actual crew members here. I was hoping, I wasn't expecting David Chase, the creator, to be there, but I was expecting maybe a producer or a writer to do some kind of panel. But it's the first year. I'm sure they're still figuring what this thing is, and maybe they made those attempts and just,
Didn't you send me a photo of? Wasn't Tony Soprano's son there or something?
I believe he was. No, I don't think his son was there. I think his wife was there.
Oh, you sent me you in your Instagram story or something like that. You had photos of him, and I didn't know if he was doing a little talk back or something like that. It must have been something else.
It was some other. It was probably those two writers and a couple of cast members.
Okay, interesting.
They did have some really cool things. There's an episode in season 3 called Pine Barrens where a couple of characters chase a Russian mobster through the woods while trying to
through the Pine Barrens.
They try to kill him. They tried to kill him, but he survived a bash in the head with a shovel, and then. So they're chasing him through the woods. So it's in these two characters, they get lost in the woods. So what they did is they recreated this kind of maze inside where they printed out all the shots of white snowy trees, and they had all the quotes on the wall from the episode, oh, where'd the guy go? Go fucking shoot him, and just kind of
the iconic quote.
The iconic quote. Oh, get the fucking gun and shoot him. I'm doing this justice.
It's poetry.
Yeah. They recreated the main psychiatrist's office, which you can take photos in.
I saw you would take one
big
there.
line for therapy in America, hashtag 2019.
In Jersey? That's surprising.
In Jersey, yeah. I did have this kind of not a negative mindset going into this convention. I've seen I had gone to events in the past where they had signings with cast members. I had one encounter with a fan who was I would call him an Adriana truther, where he believed that one character was not dead when the character was, well, not explicitly dead, heavily implied to be dead.
Like a show me a body.
It was, yeah, it basically
thing.
show me body. Oh, it's your body. When there's like no other evidence that like would suggest that why would this character like not kill her? When we hear a gunshot, we just, the camera decides to pan up into the sky. Spoilers for a 20-year-old show.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean,
whatever.
I'm not going to remember this. At some point, I will watch it one day, but who cares?
Yeah.
It's fine.
I mean, there was a lot of that, like, kind of Jersey Shore, Staten Island Guido, like, airbrush T-shirts and, like, spray-on tan.
Like, ironically?
Ironically, but also just kind of, like, literally for sale, just, like, you get a framed picture of, like, all, like, the macho main characters just kind of posing for the camera, and there's, like, they include, like, a Dutch Master cigar and, like, a little paper gun inside.
Like as a prop?
As a prop, yeah, prop. They did have a couple like caught vehicles from the show, like that were featured. One like shot up with like fake bullets. They had retired FBI agents in windbreakers just kind of hanging around.
Like real ones?
Like real old FBI guys are just like, they just wore their uniforms and just kind of, they didn't really work the event. They were just kind of just milling about. They weren't, they were just there.
So they were attending.
They were just attending, yeah.
But how did you know they were FBI agents?
They had FBI on their jackets. And, yeah. I did read later that they were actually real guys.
And they were retired.
Yeah, retired. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure the real FBI was there as well because, like, I'm sure half the fans of The Sopranos are actually like real wannabe gangsters. So
yeah, do you think this was just an elaborate like trap?
It's just a sting operation for all the guys. Who, like, I'm going to Rutgers, but like they're really just on ecstasy on the side, but they think they're like made because like they cut themselves with a knife and What else? Yeah, they had like a couple of people doing music. They had some stand-up comedy. I went with a buddy of mine, my buddy Harry Schuldman, who I went to college with, and we were kind of like bonded over the show. We actually worked briefly as paparazzi for this guy we met on the internet who paid us money to go follow the film production during the making of the final episodes, and we just shot video and photos of just like James Gandolfini and Edie Falco just from a distance,
So if you saw leaked footage of production of the last season, chances are it came from you too?
Yeah. They actually did make a documentary that's now on Amazon Prime. It's just called like a Sopranos documentary. It's a really bad title. I'm sure it's something like Bada Bing, made in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Whack this movie.
Something like that?
Watch this movie.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And anyway, so like we actually did like end up capturing video of like one of the main bad guys getting whacked outside of a gas station, and we sent it to the guy, and we try to like play like, hey man, you're only paying us like $400, but like we got some great footage of this main character getting shot. If you want it, it's gonna be like $425 or something like that.
Oh, you tried to?
We tried. I don't know. I was like 20 years old at the time. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
No, whatever. You're an opportunist.
Yeah, opportunity. Yeah, that's the word. That's my name. Yeah,
supply and demand.
So I guess what I kind of came away with this big question: what is fandom, Justin? Is it something that we can achieve later in life, or is fandom just a thing that is a manifestation of us clinging on to adolescence and the things we liked growing up? Like, can we become intense fans of something at our ages? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm really into Fleabag right now, but I'm not going to be going out and writing Fleabag fanfic or I don't know. I feel like it's possible at our age to, I think there are people our age who can become like that with things, maybe because they've always, with everything they've consumed.
There are people out there that do get excited about things, I guess. I felt this kind of detached sense when I was there, because like I'm not one to like go up to actors like, oh my god, I call them by their character name, like, hey Furio, hey Silvio, hey Adriana. I'm just kind of like, I as coming from like a film production background where I've read so much about the show, like I have like no questions left. And then people like the panel asking questions like, how did you guys make fake newspapers for the show? Like, well, they have a production designer and they have an art team. They make this stuff.
So you're like you're like a maxed out in a video game.
Out.
Your stats are maxed out.
My stats are maxed out. I mean, I have this
no replay
this really dumb skill where I can name every episode title in order without looking, just just close my eyes and just Pilot, 46 Long, Denial, Anger, Acceptance, Meadowlands College, Pax Soprano, Down Neck, The Legend of Tennessee Multisanti, Boca, A Hit is a Hit, Nobody Knows Anything, Isabella, I Dream of Jeannie, Cusimano. That's season 1.
Wow. Okay.
It's all just from watching the DVDs over and over and over again to the detriment of my health and my social life. I once left a beach get together. Like I went down to the shore with some friends, like summers in college, and I skipped like an afternoon of like socializing to go to an internet cafe and browse Sopranoland.com message boards and look up spoilers for like the show.
Yeah. Okay, so nobody has anything new to offer you.
No. Please, if you do, give me a call.
Well, I mean, you got this new prequel coming out, so that'll kind
there
of
is a
give
movie,
you something
there's a movie
else to talk
coming
about.
out. Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting point you make, though, and that's kind of like that sounds very like a lonely existence where you love this thing, but you've experienced it, and you've experienced everything there really is to experience, and like, are you annoyed by other hardcore fans?
Oh, not at all. I'm impressed. I'm happy that they can like dress up and scream and pay hundreds of dollars for autographs but
that's not you.
That's not me.
It's not like the Star Wars fans who
Yeah.
go see the trailer at Comic-Con and it looks like a cult.
Yeah.
Where they're like
I guess
frenzied.
I'm just accepting that there's like, maybe at some point I was like, oh, like you see people acting in a way and it gives them happiness. Like, oh, I'll get there. That's an achievement I'll get eventually. Or like that level of like external I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to just different personalities and how
personalities.
we choose to like things. Mm-hmm. Where it's like you're not a person who's going to go up to a, like as you said, and some actor who's in this thing because it's like, well, what is that?
But
really?
my mind still goes to the place where it's like, oh, like I was I briefly chatted with the two writers of that book.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, like your mind goes in those weird places. Like, if I have like the perfect question, they're gonna look at me and say, "Hey, kid, you want to hang out? You got the goods. You want to be our new best friend? Something like that.
That's what you're looking for is validation. Is you see yourself as this ultimate fan, and you just want somebody. You want if James Gandolfino was still alive to call you up and be like, you know what, you're the. I don't know how he talks.
James Gandolfino,
you're the guy.
Be my father.
Yeah.
Or at least like a cool uncle. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's what it sounds like. Is that you want validation from being this fan, and I totally get that. I've been involved in music and fans of like stuff like bands my whole life, and going to a show, and then if I'm singing along, singing my heart out, and then they look at me while I'm doing that, and like they know that I know the words, and it's like, oh wow, yeah, like.
You're thinking like, oh, they'll ask you just to join the band. Like, hey, Justin, what are you doing after the show? Have a drink with us and just talk about your future.
Yeah, you have the scenario in your head.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same. It's just like, it's more of an internal thing, whereas there are people who will like, yeah, I'm going to write fanfic based on this show. I am going to dress up. I'm going to wait in line for 3 hours to meet this person. And I'm going to get an autograph and I'm going to shake their hand. And like, I went to see Comedy Bang Bang like a few years ago, and there was the option of meeting Lauren Lampkus, Paul F. Tompkins, and Scott Aukerman and Neil Campbell. Like they were sitting at a table. Like the most recent time I saw them, they didn't do that. So like a few years ago, like there was a super long line though. And I was like, well, I'd rather just hit the road. Like what am I going to get from this?
Right. You kind of
could meet
project
them?
yourself in the future. Like, okay, you say hello, I love your stuff. Like, they say thank you.
Right.
And then that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's a fun story to tell, I guess.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I met them, but like it's not going to change me as a person or make me happy. I mean, I don't know. They already made me happy by giving me what I wanted.
Right. When they were just doing a job, and they just no.
Yeah, I mean, my ultimate thing as a comedian, I've said before, is like, I don't care what I do or what happens to me. I just want to end up being a regular cast member on the podcast Comedy Bang Bang, and I'm running out of time. and I know I don't think they get paid to do that. If they do, it's not much. But I just want... It is a struggle for me. It's like, well, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I love it, or because I want validation? Or is that the same thing as being an artist, where it's like, what am I missing in my life that I feel like I need to get approval from other people for?
Oof. I think I can cancel my therapy session.
I also want to set the scene here. The sun is now set.
Yeah, thank you,
And
Dr.
Jiah and
Martin.
I are in I don't have a light in here, and we are in a dark room lit only by the light of our laptop screens.
Well, I'm at 89% now, but
I'm at
anyways,
87.
So overall, Sopranos-Con was a fun event. I really did get a lot of it. I got a lot out of it.
That's fun. I mean, and you got to. It's nice that you didn't go alone. You went with your friend.
Yeah, like we both we both knew the show inside
Yes.
and out, A to Z.
And that maze thing in the forest sounds like a neat thing that I don't know. I've been to some conventions and it's literally just people at a table just waiting for people to talk to them.
They also like recreated like the strip club in the show. They had a bar around.
Oh, that's
there.
cool.
They had like a mural full of memes. Memes weren't really a thing between the years 99 and 2007. At least they weren't like a prevalent thing as they are today. We're like,
no, because would you say that Ally McBeal dancing baby was a meme?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
But they literally had like this like explosion of a wall. Just I didn't even get all of them. I just like there was probably a good like 200 memes just of like
a lot of memes.
Yeah, just like Jeffrey Epstein jokes and like put it in Tony and Camarella's Matrix characters and Marvel, all the things that have like pop culture that's kind of come and gone, or basically come since The Sopranos, and then now we're just kind of integrating them into it. So that was kind of cool. A lot of great artwork by really like paint murals by people. They did a big mural of James Gandolfini.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Stan a legend. I would go again, like if anything, like maybe I would try to get a booth and I would just basically set up a old PlayStation 2 where I would do a speed run of the classic video game, The Sopranos Road to Respect, where you play Big Pussy's nephew as you drive Agitated by Ecstasy, which was a classic video game that nobody played.
I thought you were joking.
I did.
Just for a second there.
It even had like James Gandolfini, like they did like mocap of him and
wow.
You just played like an ancillary character who was never referenced on the show before or after, and just like, but he was always like one of the guys, and you just kind of do missions for characters and who are all voiced by the cast members. So one of those like tie-in things. I'm sure it was like in a contract somewhere, like the show's coming to an end. Hey guys, we got to do the video game. People love that PlayStation, so let's get on it.
I'm surprised they haven't done like Telltale hasn't done a Soprano. They've done like Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and it's like, you have to make these split-second decisions. Like I feel like a Sopranos one would be fun.
Yeah, I mean the audience is kind of like a median age of like 45 years old.
Yeah, it's not really in the lexicon.
Yeah, like it was like
it
was packed, but it wasn't like I couldn't walk anywhere packed. Bathroom, I had to wait in the bath. Like the line for the urinal was maybe like 5 minutes. It wasn't that bad.
Well, I mean, there's a Pokemon convention in New York,
right?
Like this same weekend, so
exactly.
A lot of people are at that.
So that was Sopranos-Con. I would definitely go again. It would be cool if they had maybe it's just some more behind the scenes crew members. And I don't know, maybe I guess the movie's coming out next year, so that kind of breathes some new life and maybe get some new fans who see this film and they go, "What happened after that?" And so
It's possible.
And I came away with it with a bootleg Star Wars trilogy, despecialized version.
The McClunky version?
Yeah.
Not the McClunky version?
There was this guy just selling bootleg Blu-rays there. I guess it's just it's just a given at these conventions.
Yeah.
They had like Netflix shows that have not received any kind of official release on physical media. And they're just like, yeah, it's $20 for...
Season 2 of BoJack.
Yeah, the end of the fucking world, season 1. Like, okay, $20. Like, who's going to stop these guys?
$20. Yeah, nobody's going to stop them. I mean, definitely not the retired FBI agents wandering around. They don't understand what's happening.
Watch, read online. Like they got busted. It was like this whole thing was an elaborate sting operation, bring down this bootleg operation.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna write that down.
Your Blu-ray's bugged, so it has a tracker. It's not gonna come for you.
Please. Anyway, that was my weekend. That was my 7 hours on Saturday. So Sopranos-Con. I'll check back in with if I go next year, the second annual.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do a check-in. We'll do a part 2. Hey, maybe if we go,
maybe you'll watch the show.
I will watch the show if I'm going to go to the convention. Or I won't, and maybe that'll be the funny part.
That would be funny, actually. You're just like looking around like, ooh, that's neat. Ooh, what's that? Okay, I don't get it, but this is fun.
Maybe we'll buy like a Tascam mic or whatever, and we'll just do a live episode from Sopranos-Con 2.
I'm going to write that down.
All right, write it down. Whoa.
Write it
Great.
down.
All right. Well, 30 minutes in, so maybe we should get to what we came here to talk about today, and what the title of this episode is called is The Burbs.
The Burbs.
The Burbs.
It's not an apostrophe. Isn't it apostrophe Burbs? Apostrophe
No, there's
Burbs.
no apostrophe.
There's like a little...
Is there?
There's a dash.
Please keep doing that. Is there a dash?
Yeah, there's a dash between
Okay.
before B.
Does it matter?
It's the dash. It's because it's like a contraction. Like,
of the suburbs.
Yeah, of the suburbs. Mm-hmm. They even had it Arts Quest on the marquee outside the theater. So
I stand
hope
corrected.
We better have that on our episode title for on the
I
listing.
will make sure to do that.
I'll probably text you tomorrow. Like, Justin, you forgot the
You will.
apostrophe.
You will text me because I will forget that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I remember the hyphen for Pee-wee.
Okay.
So I'll get the apostrophe for everything must be correct. I get it.
The Burbs, a
The
Tom
Burbs.
Hanks movie from 1989. I had not seen this before last night. Justin, this is one of your favorite movies of all time, and it informed all of your decisions as a comedian.
Yes, I would loosely say that. Yeah. No, I think it definitely greatly affected me. There was like a few things in my youth that I think kind of really deeply ingrained like a love of comedy in me. Like Kids in the Hall was definitely one thing I saw when I was really young. Like Letterman, a lot of people say that, but Letterman, his show, this movie, City Slickers, like all these different movies. I introed the movie last night at Arts Quest. And I did mention that I used to tape movies off of the television, and this was sandwiched in between City Slickers and Surf Ninjas. So I always had these like compilation
Not
VHS
quite alphabetical
tapes.
order, but I got you.
No. I didn't worry about that then.
That's all we worry about.
I just, I organized them in tone, We got a City Slickers, a straight up comedy. You got a Thrillomedy as The Burbs, and you want to end it with some Rob Schneider and surfing.
Surfing
and Surf Ninjas.
Yep.
But yeah, no, this is one of my favorite movies. It's a Joe Dante film, who also did Gremlins, and it's also the same set from Gremlins.
Oh.
This movie.
So he knew that he knew the lay of the land.
Right, he did. Yeah, it's all filmed completely on a Universal Studios backlot.
Which was also used for Desperate Housewives.
And
the Monsters.
The Monsters as well.
Yeah.
There's a Smash Mouth video All Star is filmed on that lot as well. A bunch of movies. I forget what the name of the actual lot is called.
I think it's like Colonial Lane. Or
yes,
something like
that's
that.
exactly what it is. Yep. So the movie takes place in basically this fishbowl, metaphorically cul-de-sac. Yeah, and we never leave.
It's like a bottle episode but for movies.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. And I don't know. I feel like they make good use of that because, as I pointed out during the movie last night, there's a scene where they're digging through the neighbor's trash.
Should we give a brief plot rundown before we get into
let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I discovered this movie when I was a kid. You've never seen this movie, so that's the whole
Justin,
background.
all we talked about is
personal
hey, you want to do a podcast? By the way, I love the Burbs.
I love the Burbs. Yeah.
Like, okay, we'll do it for our 8th episode.
Yeah. Okay. And it worked out.
Yeah.
Brief plot is Tom Hanks plays this guy named Ray Peterson, who lives next door with his wife, played by Carrie Fisher, to these new neighbors, the Klopeks, who have moved in, and nobody's seen them. Nobody knows what they look like. They don't ever leave their house. All they know is that there's these strange noises and lights that come from the basement in the middle of the night. And Ray is on vacation, and you kind of, obviously spoilers for a movie that came out, oh my God,
30 years
ago. He ends up, going to investigate, and his wacky neighbors, Mark Rumsfeld, and then Art, played by Rick Dukeman, R.I.P., who kind of feed into his paranoia. It's basically all about suburban paranoia.
Yeah, they see all these weird happenings inside this house. Like these neighbors, they're not coming out. They're just kind of peeking out through windows and doorways, and so they're doing. But the people, the normies, if you will, they're doing all this kind of weird stuff just to kind of investigate. Trying to just to kind of spy on them, or just try to ring the doorbell and pass notes and.
Oh yeah, well, Mark Rumsfeld is an ex. Military guy, and he offers tap that he can tap the phone lines. He has a night vision scope they're using. They're going through their trash. So really kind of the movie does a good job of kind of flipping that on its head. It's these are the weirdos, but no, these are also
who's the real weirdo?
Who's the real weirdo? Yeah, exactly.
I also like how the TV show Weeds on Showtime kind of ripped off that opening shot of the satellite view of the suburbs, that kind of sprawling mess of roads and one ways and cul-de-sacs. And
Right.
They just kind of steal from the best.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the best comedies I've seen in a long time.
Really? I'm so glad you liked it,
Yeah.
because I wasn't... I've shown so many people this movie because it is one of my favorites, and usually people are like, yeah, it was all right. That's usually the response I get.
It was a very low-key wackiness. Like,
Yeah.
the jokes were at like 350 oven. It was like just... But that's what made it so much better, I think. Like, I'm thinking of a scene. There's a scene where... What's his best friend's name?
Art.
I thought it was his brother first, but this Art walks into Tom Hanks's house. They're talking about, like, oh, who are these new neighbors? Let's investigate. And he's like eating all the food in the house. He's just going in the fridge. He's just like taking out steaks and just drinking orange juice and eating like all the waffles that have ever been incepted.
Yeah.
And it's not reflected upon. It's not commented on. It's just this guy is just eating. He doesn't live there. He's just a neighbor of theirs. He's just eating all of their food.
Even at one point, Carrie Fisher walks by with the dog food bowl, and she just has some kind of bowl in her hand, and he reaches in, eats it, and then he's just like, oh, this tastes bad. Just like, he doesn't even say that, just his expression, and then the camera pans over, and she sets the bowl down for the dog. So clearly he ate dog food.
Right.
But they don't say like, oh my God, I ate dog food.
If this was like 2019, like someone's like, okay, so that's a thing, or like talk about a cheat day, lol, or stuff like that. Like a lot of comedies say they have to like kind of reflect, like they kind of have to be on the same side of the audience. Like, we're smart, we know this is crazy, we're gonna comment on it with something that's gonna be dated within like a week or two.
Right.
But yeah, I like these movies where like it's a comedy, but like they're all playing it straight.
Yes.
Yeah, so
yeah. Absolutely.
Tom Hanks is the base reality as what's his name? Corey Feldman.
Ricky Butler.
Yeah, he comments on later.
He was watching his neighbors watch the other neighbors, because he keeps commenting how like his girlfriend's like, let's go see a movie, let's watch something on TV. He's like, no, this neighborhood's better than TV. Like, watch these freaks. I love that philosophy right there. Just like, we don't need to watch the Idiot Box. Let's just watch humanity. Let's sit on our porch and watch this drama unfold. Yeah, and he calls out Tom Hanks like, now that's Ray Peterson. Yeah. He's basically pretty much just grounded in reality, and he doesn't believe that he doesn't want to believe the neighbors are up to something. And it's like, you're just like explaining the character archetype,
right? Which
I love. That
it's meta humor, but it's not. It still works for the character, but it's not like over like an Abed from Community type, or like I know I'm in a movie or TV show.
Right. Well, at the end, he like, even Ricky Butler, he breaks the fourth wall, but just at the very end of the movie, just to say his classic line, "I love this street."
Yeah.
It's I love that character. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I guess I don't know. Do you want to continue with the plot?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say like I tried to outthink the movie. Like I was trying to like just predict where this is gonna go, what's really going on inside this house, who are these neighbors. I thought that they were like the final reveal would be like, oh, they're just haunted house designers. We're all normal.
Something
in here.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
But turns out they are evil and they're killing people. The one guy's got like a trunk full of skulls.
Yep.
And it all ends with like a wacky chase in an ambulance.
Yeah.
Which I'll get into later. But.
Yeah. So it just escalates. They keep finding. They just keep finding more reasons to be suspicious of these neighbors, and then every time they find a reason, there seems to be some kind of explanation. Like somebody offers up some kind of explanation, whether it be like Carrie Fisher, or I don't know. It's like these. Like it's weird because it's stated Ray's on vacation, and maybe Rumsfeld is retired. It doesn't seem like anybody's going to work.
No.
It's summer. It's June, I think, one of the calendars.
Everyone takes the summer off, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's how it was in the 80s.
Yeah, so it's like, people just have nothing to do but watch each other and watch their neighbors. So they're acting like little kids. There's even a scene where Ray has that nightmare and he's sitting on the deck and he's just drinking orange juice and he's like catatonic. And you get this like angle, this like downward facing angle of Rumsfeld and Art coming over and asking if Ray can come out, please. Oh, right. And they just look like little kids.
And
just
Carrie Fisher's like the mom, like, no, until he resembles the man I married, he can't come out and play anymore.
We don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
It's like, Carol, please, can he come out? And it's like, I think you have my answer. Mm-hmm. And then Art even does that little thing where he just kind of kicks the ground. They're like, oh, and they just kind of shamble away. It's like they're children. They're like man children. Yeah, I love that, and this movie's definitely like all about like the character work. Like Bruce Dern, father of Laura Dern, which I didn't realize till recently.
Dern?
Yeah, the Derns. Just kill it. You know what I mean? He kills it.
Yeah.
Like Bruce Dern this is my first Bruce Dern movie. And it's incredible. And like, I don't know. I've always loved Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
So,
Like right now, like Tom Hanks is like, basically America's father, daddy, zaddy. And
he's one of the last who haven't been canceled.
Right. He's still hanging in there.
Yeah.
But he's still amazing. He kicks ass every time. Like, but this is like kind of still early on in his career. And
This is around like Money Pit.
yeah, now like whenever Tom Hanks is in movies, like we have to have like the scene that introduces Tom Hanks. Like we're not going to start the movie with Tom Hanks. So but this movie does, which surprised me because like there's that tracking shot of like a man coming out of his house investigating what's going on next door at the new neighbors, and you just see the back of his head. And I was like, oh, this is probably just like another neighbor. I didn't know who it was at first. And he turns his head and it's Tom Hanks. I was like, oh my god, yeah, we're not like devoting a whole scene and a whole like just a moment for him. It's just he's right out of the gate.
It's just Tom Hanks right away.
He's just playing a character,
and he's kind of
not
an
playing
asshole.
Tom Hanks.
He's not like a wholesome guy. He's kind of a prick. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he's maybe going through some kind of mental breakdown because he's like on vacation and he has this weird stomach thing where he's not eating. And
his wife and kid are like, let's go to the lake and like relax, and he's just like coming up with all kinds of excuses.
Yeah, he's like, I just want to. I think he's like in some kind of like major depression or something like that. It seems like he's like, I just want to lay around the house in my pajamas. Maybe I'll fix the doghouse.
Yeah.
Like,
I got some new tools.
right, I got some. Look at these tools. Never touches them. Yeah. Oh, those are beauties right there. Yeah. No, I don't know. I feel like I relate to him on that level where it's like I don't want to go out and do anything. I just want to sit around, whether that's healthy or not. Yeah. But
Sometimes
like
it's healthy just doing nothing.
Yeah. But yeah, and Carol just wants to like, well, all right, it's your vacation. And that's where the paranoia starts, because he's just sitting around watching the neighbors, and they're all watching each other. And
I do like how they just kind of start with them, and neighbors have already moved in. Like we're not having that scene like here's the status quo of this neighborhood. Everyone's kind of weird, and then the neighbors moved in, and everything kind of goes off kilter. It's just they just start with them already moved in. Things
right, exactly. They kind of reference
weird and spooky.
The previous neighbors, the Naps.
Right, and just references.
There.
It's just like just talking about it. You don't see anything about it. Or
and they say how Naps never said goodbye when they moved. They just moved, and all of a sudden the Klopeks moved in. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, oh, okay. So these weirdos kind of moved in. There was a moment where Rumsfeld calls them foreigners. He's like, them foreigners over there. And it's like, it definitely like in this year, the 2019, there was one guy in the back of the theater was just like, foreigners, oh my god. Just like, it was like kind of like, everybody kind of like laughed about it because it's just like, oh shit, we know this kind of person now.
Right.
Whereas like, you watch this movie back in the day and it's like,
you have to acknowledge like this is a product of its time. I mean, that's every movie that has problematic aspects. Like, yes, this is what flied back then.
Right.
Like just to kind of sarcastically comment on it. I never get that. People laugh at older movies like, haha, what were they thinking? Like, well, someone's going to say that about stuff we're making right now.
Right.
Right, like this podcast right now. This is going to be problematic in about 10, 15 years.
Oh, there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah, it's going to be. You and I have said something at some point. It's just... But I do think that stuff is in this movie. Like, there's the point where Tom Hanks is like, "Oh, what's next? We're gonna burn like a cross on their lawn," and you were just like, "Whoa, jeez, that's heavy." But it's like, no, it's
guilty
like
of it too.
this stuff is like it's real. It's not like there is absurdist stuff in this movie, but these people do exist where it's like, oh, like the people who aren't from here moved in, and it's like immediately suspicious of them. Mm-hmm. I mean. In this movie, they make it so like, all right, the house looks like a legitimately fucking haunted house. There's crazy noises and lights coming out, and they're Slavic, I guess. And so it's like there's more reasons. It's not like they're just like doing their own thing and they're out and doing it, and people are like, what are them people up to?
It's just the mystery. We don't know what they're doing, which is even more powerful than just seeing like direct evidence.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like it handles it well, and the message of the movie with Tom Hanks's like rant at the end, just like, no, we're the weirdos. Like they're just trying to live their lives, but then you think the movie's over, and then it flips it again. It's like, no, they are murderers. Mm-hmm. That part when I was a kid, like I lost my mind. This is like one of these movies where. I had the same thing when I watched Unbreakable, where I was like, I don't understand where this movie's going. This is like, I love this. And this movie like broke my brain where I was like, oh my God, it was my first big twist ending moment.
Twist ending, and just kind of like had like the themes just kind of like were not blatantly spelled out, but like, yeah, it makes sense. You can almost come to that conclusion before the movie tells you.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And they do like, I don't know. I just love all the fake out stuff, like with the glove covered in blood, but it's paint, and it's like all this stuff. It reminded me of you ever read the Goosebumps books?
Yeah.
How every chapter ended with like, and then the monster came in, and then chapter 3 was like, oh, it's just Dad walked in. It's always like a fake out. At the end of every chapter, it was like a cliffhanger, and then nothing, and then it wasn't real until it is like later in the book.
The one that I always like, I always go back to is like it's like the kid learns how to fly, and he becomes like a celebrity, but then like his biggest rival bully also learns like the same like recipe on how to fly. And then like there's like some kind of like competition where it's like, okay, who's gonna be the better flyer? And then like the main kid is just like pretends like, oh no, I can't fly anymore, something's wrong. And then he just like lets like his bully just kind of like take the spotlight, and he just kind of lives. He's like, I'm just gonna like, I don't want to do this anymore. He just takes a step back and like, but he then it reveals like he can still fly. He just doesn't want to be. Just doesn't want to like live
buy into the corporate America
he doesn't want
flying.
to be the corporate. He doesn't be a corporate flyer.
Yeah,
So-
he did. You know, he appreciates.
There's that like a lot of endings that still stick with me. Like I haven't like even touched a Goosebumps book in like 20 years probably, but yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of inform a lot of my life philosophies.
I'd love to do an episode on Welcome to Camp Nightmare. That's my favorite of all time.
Is that the one where it's secretly Earth all along?
Yeah.
No, it's not Earth all along. That's the twist.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
They're like, oh, we're gonna go to Earth. It's like the Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah, they
where
look
they're-
up and there's just like the planet Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like-
But like, I think that was the scariest one for me because it felt very like Body Snatchers. But anyway. Yeah.
Speaking of
I
Neighbors-
love the twist.
Yeah, Neighbors. I'm actually like literally this happened yesterday. I got home from Sopranos-Con, and the apartment across my hallway it's been vacant. But then I heard noises in there yesterday, and I like realized, oh, somebody moved in. I have not seen them yet. I just heard just like a guy and a girl talking. I don't know if the girl just lives there or the guy lives there, or maybe just both of them. And I'm already just kind of pissed off, like, oh great, now they're another parking space are gonna be taken up, and noise that I can hear them. It's like 7:00 at night. I'm just like kind of reading a comic book, waiting to go to this movie, and like, oh, these assholes, they're just making a lot of noise. Well, that's not gonna fly here. But I'm like, what am I talking about? It's 7:00 at night on a Saturday. Like I've had people over being loud as hell, But it's like that impulse just to kind of like, oh, these fucking new neighbors, and I can like even demonize them even more because I haven't even met them yet. It's like I'm in that kind of weird purgatory space, or they're just kind of just voidless, just faceless sources of my misery.
Inconveniences, yeah.
Inconveniences, yeah.
Well, the same thing here. I was helping our friend Jamie, who had a flat tire out front, and the house connected to this one. People were like, this young couple were like moving stuff in. I was like, oh, it's been vacant for so long, and it's like same thing. It's like, oh, new neighbors. Didn't say hi to them. Didn't anything. And like, I think the way this movie is different. It seems like everybody in this movie, how it was in the 80s. It's like, it plays on like, oh, suburbia, where everybody knows each other. Whereas I feel like now nobody knows each other. Whereas in this movie, everybody knows each other and talks to each other. So then the one family that does not are the weird ones. Whereas like now, it seems like the people who do try to reach out are the fucking weirdos, where it's like, you and I don't talk to my neighbors.
Right.
I don't know who
you
they
say
are.
hello? Like, you go,
If I see them, I will say hello.
Yeah, you got to do that.
The people in the house behind me out the window here, I say hello to any time I see them.
Right.
But
You're
I
not
don't
going out
hang-
your way. You're not hanging out with them. You're not eating a breakfast cereal.
I'm not on that app.
Right.
Neighborly or whatever the hell it's called,
Is
where
that
we're
an
all
app?
talking about each other.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Is that really an app?
That is. I've heard it's mostly insane. It's mostly people being like, "What's that guy's deal?" And everybody it's the Burbs, but on the internet.
It's finally an app for all those Stepford wives who just have nothing to do with like keeping their asses tight and like dusting the bathroom.
Right. Where I think the original intent was like, anybody else see this weird car driving in circles around this neighborhood for like 7 days straight? And kind of be like, yes, I did see that weird car. Maybe we should let somebody know. But now it's literally like, Gary is not mowing his lawn. Anybody else notice this? And I feel like I'm Gary.
Yeah. I just get pissed at my neighbors because I had this crazy neighbor who lived next door to me. Her name was Tammy, and go fuck yourself, Tammy. I'm so happy.
You know what?
I'm so happy you're gone.
It's probably a Tammy.
Yeah.
The only Tammy I've ever liked is Tammy of Tammy Tonight, and she spells her name Tami.
Oh, she's great.
Every other Tammy I've ever met, fuck them.
Yeah. Even on Parks and Recreation, like isn't like Ron Swanson's ex-wife's named Tammy with
Yeah.
Y's.
Right.
So
I think it's just I don't know. Just
name your kids, if you're gonna name them Tammy, do it with an I.
No, you know what?
Yeah.
Follow your instinct, because I don't want a secret shitty Tammy. Like, I want my Tammys visible. You know what I mean? I want it like at the end of the Quentin Tarantino movie, the Nazi one. I want it carved into their goddamn foreheads instead of a swastika. It's just the MY. I want 100 Tammy scalps from every one of you.
Glorious bastards.
Yeah, glorious Tammys.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just this irrational. Like, you know, I live in an apartment where it's just like luckily, I'm on the top floor, so I don't have to like deal with anyone above me. But sometimes I share walls with some neighbors who just like are vacuuming at 2 a.m. because they're crazy, or they're taking up parking spots and when they're during like when there's a snowstorm and there's like then I'm like I know this is like first world problems, but it's like I got to park on the street now instead of like the conveniently off street parking lot that my landlord provides, you know, stuff like that.
It's tough. I mean, you know, there's only so much.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up living in the woods, like just like in a house, like kind of surrounded by forest, and just like didn't really see neighbors that much. I mean, I was friends with my neighbors, but you know, I just kind of like having that just kind of isolation and quiet. And yeah, we live in Bethlehem, so I'm not gonna get that.
Well, I grew up with a similar thing where I was by a highway, so we had that kind of like constant noise, but literally like.
You even forget about it eventually, I guess.
Yeah, well, there was no houses across the street. It was like a busy road. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't a neighborhood. And I had there was like an older farm. There was like a farm on our right. And then our left, we had our neighbor Debbie. And we had a relationship with her. But then after her was like the fire department. So it was like literally like, I didn't grow up around any other kids, and we had a driveway. Mm-hmm. So living in Bethlehem and like not having a driveway, and having to rely on street parking, like when it snows, and like having people like I live in the end of a row now. It was literally the way Pennsylvania homes are. Everything's on just fucking like on the top of each other. It's like, oh, ooh, look, there's a little space over there. Let's put another house there. Mm-hmm. You know, and like let's pack it in.
Can't stop growing.
No, we can't stop.
If we stop, then we're just gonna have to live with our thoughts.
Yeah,
like the city of Bethlehem, I have to stop and think like, oh, well, I guess I'm just gonna exist for a couple more hundred years.
No. Just build another house.
Yeah.
Make another podcast. Book another show.
Let's put a Starbucks in the South Side.
Right across from Lit.
Yeah.
Whatever. Is there a coffee shop there?
Yeah.
Put a Starbucks across the street.
I think South Side needs not a coffee shop. There's not enough down there.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think you're right, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Local politics.
Anyway, let's do an episode on Getting Grace, that Bethlehem shot movie by Daniel Roebuck.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
All right, okay. In this movie, I did feel like I don't know. I found myself. This is probably my 100th rewatch of this movie.
100th,
maybe. I've seen this movie many times. I've probably seen this about as many times as I've seen Ghostbusters, if not more. Because I used to proudly declare that as my favorite movie, and now I can't anymore. I
can just say that about like Jurassic Park and like the Muppet movie. I think that's the one I've seen.
Interesting combo. The Muppet movie is great
because I just like, you know, like 6 or 7 years old, just watching it literally every day. So I'm sure I got the double digits at least up there back then.
Right,
but
I felt more. I felt more for Hans until you find out he is like an accomplice. Like, he seems mostly harmless. Like, he just seems, you know, he's like with these two men, and he's just kind of, they talk about how they have to move a lot. So he could easily, up until the point where he drives the ambulance and he gives that, like, you know, he's clearly in on it.
Yeah.
He could just be like a kid being dragged along.
He's got a fucked up family. He had no choice, you know? It's just the only way he knew.
The moment in the beginning of the movie where he comes out to get the paper, and everybody's just staring at him, and he has the shitty lawn and the shitty house is that, like, I feel like I related to most now. And where I live now, I feel like the Hans of this neighborhood.
No comment. I'm sorry. No, you got a great place, Justin.
Well, you're technically not in my neighborhood, Jiah. You're on the outskirts, okay? You're not in the cul-de-sac.
Look, I'm a 10-minute walk away.
All right. But no, that's how
Same zip code.
That's how I feel sometimes. I feel like everybody here knows each other, but I don't talk to anybody. And then for a while there, I had a real shitty lawn until I cleaned it up. So
gotcha.
I don't know. I felt more for that character, but are there any characters you connected with or moments you connected with?
You know, there was this scene that I really just it made me realize I want to watch. This is going to go down in my old timers list. It's like the scene of his Art and Ricky Butler just drinking beers on the porch, where I'm still figuring out like who are these characters. Like, I thought maybe like is this his son, but no, they're just like here's like a 45-year-old man and like a 22-year-old kid just sharing a beer on the porch.
It seems like Ricky's parents are away and he's just painting the porch.
And there's nothing weird or like overtly like paternal or even sexual about this relationship. It's just like an older guy and a younger guy just kind of being friends, which
seems like they maybe both really love horror movies.
Yeah,
that's like because they kind of talk about like horror and murders and stuff like that. So yeah, it just seems like we live next to each other. So
it just seemed like, this seems like a fun neighborhood to grow up in. Like, I would love to live there.
I was so jealous. Because that's the thing is, like, I didn't have a neighborhood. You didn't have a neighborhood. Right. So I would watch this movie and, like...
must be what all neighbors do. They just hang out after hours.
Right. But yeah, so you really connected with that moment?
Yeah, just something, it's just something you don't see that often. Because there's always has to be, like, a reason why. Like, there's, like, an explicit dynamic spelled out. But...
Well, it's like this has been covered by stand-up comedians, like I think John Mulaney. You know, like the relationship between Doc Brown and Marty.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Is never explained. We just accept it. And it's like, yeah, we don't need to have a whole backstory explanation of their relationship between Art and Ricky.
Right.
Ricky clearly thinks these dudes are like gnarly, and he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to watch these guys because they're nuts and they're cool, and like this is better than anything on TV or on film. Yeah.
And they're all waiting on the pizza at the end. I thought that was funny.
Pizza
They're
dude.
just like waiting on the pizza dude as like an element of tension. Like it's just like as the scenes kind of build up and we reach the kind of the climax of the film and just like waiting on the pizza man, you know.
Don't go anywhere. I called the pizza dude. Yeah, his friend Steve Kuntz, who I have a friend named Steve Kuntz, and I watched this for I had my friend Corey and I and Steve Kuntz watched this together, and I never realized that was his name. And he's like, "Holy shit, did he say Steve Kuntz?" And then he is credited same spelling and everything, Kuntz, and we flipped out.
Sometimes the universe just gives you a gift like that, man.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a funny moment.
Yes, this was a great. I mean, I think the joke of the century in this film is there's a scene where like they're still investigating like who are these new neighbors, and like they see the one guy bring some trash to the curb. So then like the next morning like they get the idea like, let's go through their trash as the garbage men are taking it away.
Right. And
so they're searching through the trash and they're just kind of like dumping it out of the bags onto the street. They're going through the truck and ripping more garbage from this neighbor out, pour it on the street. And
like, have you seen a bag of garbage? Yeah. Maybe kind of bulky, a little bit moist. And it's like it rained last night. It's like it's every fucking bag of garbage.
And this is like maybe like halfway through the film. It's not quite the beginning, but not quite the end. So this thing happens, and like a few days go by, and then we see like in the background of one of the shots is like all the garbage is still there.
Yeah,
which.
Cars are driving over it.
Blew my mind. Yeah, like the garbage company didn't like send another truck, or just like they didn't just take it with them, or whatever. They left the garbage there, and it's in every shot of the movie. I think even towards the very end. Like,
it's there the whole time. Like when we find out Walter's still alive, which kicks off this whole thing. Walter disappears.
So everybody thinks like a little dog, and the dog,
right, Queenie.
Right.
So everybody thinks Walter's been abducted and killed by the Klopeks. But even when his car comes back from the hospital, it drives over the trash. It's right in the middle of the street. Like the cars can't avoid it, and they don't even try to.
Right. That's another joke that if it was made today, like they'd be like they'd be commenting on the fact that like we're commenting on it, you know?
Right.
Someone would say something like, but yeah, that garbage is still on the street. Oh, I can't believe we're talking about the garbage in the street. Oh, now we're talking about the garbage in the street. And then people will be saying this in dialogue that's much better written than what I'm coming up with, but still.
No, yeah, this movie's filled with those kinds of like little jokes that they're there if you want to notice them. If you don't notice them, you didn't. Maybe you'll catch them next time. Like the dog food from the dog bowl. I don't know if I caught that the first time when I was a kid, but it's something that like... Again, they don't draw attention to it. They don't draw attention, like you said, to the fact that he's eating everything. Where it's like, oh, that's what Art does. Like Carrie Fisher doesn't go like, stop eating everything in my house like you always do, you fat piece of shit. And it's like, no, he just does it. And and even in the beginning of the movie, like Art's shooting at the crows with a rifle and almost kills Ray.
Right.
I don't know.
Like, he's got a rifle, honey. It's all good.
And then there's multiple shots because he misses the crow and he knocks the head off of this porcelain owl. And you see this owl throughout the film and it's still missing its head. And it's like, and then the trash in the street. And
it's a continuity this place has been lived in.
Yeah. And I think that's probably helped that they filmed on a backlot.
Right. They could have filmed this whole thing in order, probably.
They did.
Oh, did they really?
They filmed it in order.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think that probably helped. This was also filmed during a writer's strike. So the writers weren't allowed on set for when there was any script changes. So Joe Dante also told the whole cast to improvise So there's multiple. The sequence when Tom Hanks picks up the gurney and puts it into the ambulance, he improvised that. When Rumsfeld's peeling the wallpaper off the wall, he just started doing that. That was improvised. There's lots of moments that like dialogue. The Satan is good, Satan is our pal. Totally improvised.
That was hilarious.
Yeah,
and then they use that like when in Tom Hanks' dream sequence of the satanic ritual.
Yeah. Satan is good, Satan is our pal. I want to kill. Yeah, I love that. That dream sequence is great. It's so. I just love that he can't. He's so like he's already kind of spooked out because of art. And then everything on television in the middle of June is a horror movie. It's like The Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw,
right.
Some other weird sacrifice movie, and just feeds into his nightmare.
5 channels back then. So.
Yeah, hey,
what a world!
Including one that shows, which was a nice moment, as you mentioned. Tom Hanks is now all of our daddies.
He was watching Mr. Rogers,
right?
And then it pans from the screen of him watching Mr. Rogers to Tom Hanks' face, all in the same unbroken shot. And
it was a nice, I remembered that before we did this rewatch, and I was like, oh yeah, like, him filming this movie, I bet he never thought where his career would go, and that one day he would
barely resemble Mr. Rogers, but still play him in a movie.
But still play him in a movie. I mean, unless you buy into the whole Hollywood Illuminati thing, and that all this was planned, and
of course, yeah.
But.
Like they say that we're our technology is at a certain place, but like really they're like way more advanced. They're just kind of holding it back. They're just slowly releasing it just to kind of get us addicted. And
just slow manipulation. Disney Plus is just another
Mandalorian episode 4.
The McClunky, you mean?
Fuck.
It's the McClunky, the one with the gremlin at the end.
Cut this out. Cut that out. I don't want to be caught saying Mandalorian on this podcast.
Oh God, no.
It's the McClunky show.
No, you'll be killed. You're already on a watch list.
I'm already on the verge of being canceled.
But yeah, I love the stuff that's set up. At one point, Carrie Fisher, Carol is just like, before somebody falls off a roof or sets themselves on fire, I think we need to like all just take a step back. And then like later on in the movie, Rumsfeld falls off a roof, and then Tom Hanks gets set on fire. Literally, the stuff literally happens, and then just. Bruce Dern's character is so good. Like him, just like his interactions with Ricky. Like there's this great like comedic heightening where he hates Ricky so much. The kid's a meatball. And he's just on the roof with his fucking rifle, and Ricky's just trying to talk to him. He's like,
he just gets so angry at him.
It's like, paint your fucking house.
Yeah.
He just can't stand him. And then he's just sitting up there eating his animal crackers and coffee.
That's a good meal right there.
Oh, it's wonderful. Like in the June sunlight. And then Ricky just like more and more of his friends keep showing up and bothering Rumsfeld until it's like a full on fucking party. And Steve Kuntz is just like, yo, bro, when's there gonna be a big unveiling? I gotta go to work in a couple hours. And it's like, oh my God, I love that. I love Ricky and his friends.
Yeah, they definitely capture something of like late 80s, early 90s mentality of just kind of grungy, punky, everything's cool, man. Like we're kind of evolved, we got the future ahead of us. There's no wars, really.
There's no phones.
We got skateboards and...
like we're just out of the Cold War pretty much.
Right. The wall just came down, or it's about to come down. Mm-hmm. There's no Gulf War yet, I don't think.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I mean, shit's happening, but not in the
there's all kinds of atrocities all over the world. All the time.
Oh, that's never ending and continually ongoing, which is why we need to distract ourselves.
Probably will never end.
Oh, it never will.
Yeah, and we're going to get ours soon, if not already.
Violence is a cycle that cannot be unbroken, but with more blood.
Every day I walk outside and I'm just like, am I going to get shot by some asshole with an AK-47? Maybe not.
Maybe I won't go see the Joker because I don't want to get shot by an asshole with an AK-47.
Mm-hmm. Star Wars coming up. Bulletproof vest, Kevlar.
I got mine in the mail.
We got a Patreon going.
I mean, my lightsaber doubles as a weapon.
Your armor will be covering your body.
Yeah, but I'll have my Jedi cloak over it, so it's still fun. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Any like shots of you in the morgue are just like, that guy he liked his movies.
Yeah, he liked his movies. It just gets it all wrong. He was the biggest Star Wars fan. It's like, well, no, he kind of liked it. It was fine.
Justin Pasino, a fan of Star Trek.
Yeah.
So the Burbs, I was blown away by this movie. I hardly recommend it. I've tried. Is this on streaming anywhere? Is it on? You can get your local library, folks.
You can. It was on Netflix for a time. It might still be. But I mean, I own a DVD copy of it. It's the Tom Hanks collection, which also features Money Pit and Dragnet.
Oh.
Got it out of a Walmart bin for like $5 like 15 years ago. Yeah, it's on Amazon and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You can find it places. It was a delight. I'd never seen it on the big screen, so last night to see it in a theater full of people who chose to be there was really fun.
Shows it to be like on a rainy Saturday night. Yeah, it was a good crowd.
Yeah, it was a really great crowd. People I could hear kind of quoting along, like the femur bone
anticipating lines.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, but it wasn't obnoxious to a point where it's like Monty Python fans, which I can't stand Monty Python because of the fans. Like I like Holy Grail, but like I don't know. I've also watched that movie with people who like will not shut up. I don't like those like those like
quote-alongs. Yeah, they do it for like Die Hard. I went to one for Die Hard years ago. It was it was advertised as a quote-along, but nobody quoted along. So it's like, okay, cool.
We all came to a silent agreement that we're not going to do it.
Yeah, there's like 2 lines in the movie that are quotable.
Really? Yeah. It's like.
Do you know that Die Hard's like a Christmas movie, Justin? Do you know that?
Oh, you know what? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on Twitter and yell at people.
It takes place on Christmas, so like it's a Christmas movie.
Is this something I could form into some kind of argument as if people are against it?
Yes, this could be like your new identity. Like every time someone says like, I just love Miracle on 34th Street, be like, I love Die Hard.
You know, it's a Christmas movie, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, I didn't say it wasn't. And then you're like, well, it is. It's like an argument that I can act as if it's been happening. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
We don't deserve any of this. We don't any movies, TV. We just don't deserve it as a species. I don't think.
You think so? You think it should be taken away from us?
I think it should be taken away. I think it should be harder to get. Like I like the fact that like I remember having to work like when I think like season 3 of Arrested Development was aired on Fox. It was just aired on Fox, and if you didn't watch it when it aired, like you'd miss it. So I had to hook up like a VCR to my television in my dorm room and record it. You know, at like 7:00 on Mondays. So it was a thing I had to do. Was it something I had to like take time out of my day to like plan for?
Okay, Boomer. All right, things were tough. We get it.
I'm just saying now that you dropped the whole season. Oh, it's I can watch it on my phone. It's just too easy.
Speaking of which, I learned today that Netflix is adding that new speed thing. You can watch things at 1.5 speed.
They're doing that?
Well, I don't know if they have done it, but there are people very angry about it. I was watching a Red Letter Media recap of their 2019 films before you came over, and they mentioned this, how people are like, Netflix, I don't know, people are saying like, oh, there's always been a fast forward option. It's like, well, no, this is like a thing where they can add it in where people can just like, it's all about how much can I consume instead of actually
so I can get to the next thing.
Yes.
Next thing.
Next
People
thing.
have podcasts like that. I don't understand that at all. I mean, you lose all the timing and the intention.
Mm-hmm. Well, and apparently like somebody figured out, like Mike on that show was saying that somebody figured out that if you played it at like 1.2 or something like that, it's indistinguishable. Like you can't tell that it's faster, but it's just short enough to where you can fit in 2 more commercials.
Jesus.
So a lot of TV, a lot
they
of
do
shows
on
now,
Seinfeld reruns too.
Yes,
I remember seeing that.
Where it's like, yeah, they can sell more ad space, but you can't tell. So it's like,
and meanwhile, Netflix still won't take off his autoplay feature when you're navigating the menu.
So much.
And of course, like they'll do this thing where you can fast forward, but I'm sure they won't have like a good like a what do you call it, slow motion feature or ability to like make like bigger captions, subtitles. All these like things, like all the technology is there, but they just choose just to use it very specifically in a way that just it's all about profit, man.
It is. Well, speaking to that,
Jesus Christ.
No. Have you watched a Marvel movie on Netflix?
Yes.
Did that feature come up? Because I watched Black Panther for the first time on Netflix, where there was there's that huge car chase scene. I don't know. I can't.
There's an action sequence.
There's an action sequence, and at the end, a little box popped up, and it was like, "Do you want to see that again?" Did you get that?
Jesus, are you serious?
No, I'm serious. I watched Black Panther, and it was like, "Watch that again." And it's like I clicked it, and then it just restarted the action sequence, so I could watch the action
it again. So you can like, lift your phone up and record it and post it on Instagram story.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe you were already looking at your phone and you missed something.
Right, yeah,
and you're like,
we are all doing that.
Because now it takes 6 hours to watch a 2-hour movie because we got to look at our phones and we're missing something and we're just going back 10 seconds, back 10 seconds, back 10 seconds.
Back 10 seconds.
And see,
back 10 seconds.
back 10 seconds. And see, now this is the thing that right now, you and I are talking about this bullshit lit by our laptops in this room.
Yes.
And if this were the Burbs, my neighbors would just be like wondering what the hell's going on in here. What are those two guys doing in there? Yeah.
There's some strange lights, and they're talking about flashbacks and fast
How we
forwards
don't
and
deserve film.
conventions with full of Guidos from Staten Island.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway,
that's the
back
Burbs.
10 seconds. Yeah, that's the Burbs. I still really, I really love this movie. I did think of a question I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah, please.
Do you think the twist helps the movie? Do you think it's because they spend a really good amount of time wrapping this up, and there's a really nice message, as I mentioned earlier, about how like, no, the paranoid people are the weird ones. Like they're just trying to live their lives, and the movie could have just ended where it's like, okay, well, Ray goes to prison.
That would have been a good ending.
But then we have this twist of like, which now like I enjoy it, but it almost feels like it's just stuck in there where it's like, oh no, they do have a bunch of skulls in their trunk. Do you think that helps the movie, or do you think it like hurts the movie, or do you feel it's like whatever?
It would have been like that idea of like the real crazy people are us because we're acting like psychos just to see what our neighbors are doing behind closed doors. Like that would have made a good like short film maybe, because all short films are basically just like a knock joke. Yeah. But like the fact that this is like a almost 2-hour film that, you know, you kind of have to have like that resolution, that big kind of action set peak sequence in the end.
Because it is a horror movie in a way.
Yeah. I mean, that's made very clear in the opening shot of just like him going outside at night, and you know, there's like a full moon, and there's like a smoke machine going on, and there's someone smoking in a windowsill. And,
they do all these like tropes. Like, it's very like tropey movie.
It's a horror film, but like it's not a scary horror film.
No, Joe Dante I think called it a Thrillomedy.
Thrillomedy. Yeah, we need more of those. Yeah, because I really do hate like the whole idea like there's like a well executed horror film, but people say it didn't scare me, it didn't get through my heart, didn't make me shit my pants, so it's terrible. I hate that way of thinking. You know, you can still have something that's like unsettling and just like playing with like the aesthetics of horror, and
you'd say something more than just having.
Yeah, it's ways to talk about ideas of that, like, you know, that maybe yes, horror, like horrible and scary things that, you know, maybe kind of resonate deep in your soul and into like your bones, but not necessarily just like a bunch of jump scares.
Right.
So
you think I don't know. You like the ending?
I did like, okay. I did like the this is another point I had about like, you know, the whole scene where like he kind of, which I love the scene where he picks up the stretcher, Tom Hanks. He's already kind of bandaged from the explosion of the house.
I've been blown up. Take me to the hospital.
And he like grabs the stretcher, just kind of like just throws it into the back of the ambulance and just like jumps on it and just like, it's like, wake me up when we get there. No way. I love that scene, and plus the ensuing, like, you know, like the ambulance gets hijacked by one of the neighbors, and like he tries to kill him with like, the syringe. But like nowadays, you couldn't do that because like we have to be all like so like everything's based in like some kind of reality that we recognize. Like, oh well, really, like that ambulance would not be like left unattended by a couple paramedics, and you
this
know,
gurney wouldn't stay on its wheels wheeling down the street.
Like this cop wouldn't charge Tom Hanks with 5 counts of criminal conduct without you know, having him have an attorney first.
Right, like they're just kind of letting him walk around. They don't have him in cuffs at all, and it's like I feel like now they would have like no.
Like we have to like, you know, we've all seen The Wire, so we're like, oh, we have to like.
Oh yeah, we've all seen The Wire.
We've all seen The Wire. I was like, well, technically, this is how police operate in this county, in this state, and like, you know, this is how investigations are conducted, and this is how people respond to scenes of accidents and crime scenes, and. So I just kind of want to go back to being more dumb and just letting things just play out in this fantasy world, or just acknowledging like, yes, this is a movie and does not reflect the real world.
Yes, we don't need movies. Like I understand the need to acknowledge the real world and exist in and maybe that world in certain contexts, but it's also it's an escape,
right? You
know, like I don't need to have the real consequences happen in a movie. It's like I see this shit every day.
Even the superhero films, like it's like they justify all like the tech and all the superpowers with just like, some kind of basis of science and like, well, technically Michael Crichton proved that this is possible. Like I don't need it. Just say it's
a magic hammer.
It's
magic.
Yeah, it's magic. It's all magic.
It's all magic. And that can be, you know what? It's fine. We can just have magic. We don't need to have it be like.
Just wanted like a discrisclaimer at the front of the movie that just says like, warning, this is not real. This is not real. Don't complain on the internet.
Yes. Yeah. That just replaces the turn off, please silence your phones. Also, this is not real.
This is not real. You don't have to scoff, when there's no scoffing allowed.
No scoffing allowed. I do still like the ending. I love the reveal. Like I said, I loved it when I was a kid, the twist ending. I do think it does undermine, in a kind of comedic way, like the message the movie's trying to send. And then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, these are awful people who are like too paranoid, but then it's like, oh no, then it's justified. And then it's like, Art gets on the news. He's like, yep, nope, we were right the whole time. And it's like, well, that's like a kind of sick, that's a sickness that the movie kind of, but that's also painting it with the brush of like reality again, where it's like, no, it's just like, oh, it's dumb. It's a comedy. Like, let it go.
Let these people just like bounce off each other for 2 hours or 90 minutes. And
it just sometimes it did, like watching it this time, really thinking about it, it felt like it was just added on, where it's like, oh no, you know what? Like it could have ended with him getting in the ambulance and then it driving away. And it's like, no, let's add this later and put this in here.
Yeah,
it's like,
you
no,
kind of
had
to have to give the audience like a win, like people identifying with Tom Hanks, like he is the good guy.
Right. You can't just end with him going to prison.
Right. That'd be amazing if they did that.
That would have been great, right?
Yeah.
Fun fact, this movie did have like 7 alternate endings.
Oh.
It didn't really change that much. It just usually, they changed like basically what was in the trunk. I listened to a couple other Burbs podcasts, which I will not name.
So what were the other trunk options?
One was the trunk was just full of cheerleaders, which just like relates to nothing.
Alive cheerleaders,
dead cheerleaders,
like just pom poms and skirts.
No, they're all alive. They all get out and they do an elaborate dance number.
Late for study hall.
Except they elaborately just like they act like they're about to dance, like in the Ghostbusters reboot, and they don't actually dance, and it's really kind of weird. Anyway, it's not a funny joke. I thought I was. Really let's real punch down the movie that nobody liked. But then some people liked it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
let's talk about Ghostbusters.
No, I never want to talk about that again. The another one was the 2 garbage men.
Oh, okay.
Were dead in the trunk. That was like one of them, I guess.
With the crystals, the guy, he loved the crystals.
Yeah, and he had a McCarthy pin, which I never noticed.
Like the rainbow.
We had
design.
a rainbow, and then on the other end was just a pin that said McCarthy. But yeah, he was just, what he was talking about, he's like, yeah, he's a healer. And I just thought of Holy Wayne. He's like, oh yeah, he heals with touch. He lays his hands on people.
Take your pain away.
It's like, it's part of the Leftovers verse.
Well, you gotta do season 2 soon, man.
We do.
The fans are demanding it.
It's
and
true.
By fans, I mean me.
I mean, our most popular episode is still Leftovers, season 1, part 1.
I'm just going into Carrie Coon withdrawal because she has not been anything recently.
She was in Endgame briefly.
That's why I've been doing this Marvel rewatch, just so I can watch Endgame.
Just gotta find her. Yeah, me too. I'm looking for her. So far, all I found is Ronan, whoever that is the guy with the hammer. Anyway, so yeah, there was multiple endings, but I do like
just different dead people in the trunk.
It's
nothing like just here's some flowers and puppies, alive puppies.
Right. Yeah. I do like at the end how everybody comes back. Like the garbage men are back. For no reason. I noticed for the first time.
Not to get the garbage, I guess, but just to get...
No, they're just like standing around a can. This is after Tom Hanks and his wife go into the house and Ricky breaks the 4th wall and he says the last line of the movie, I love this street. And he just has a piece of pizza in his hand. And you know what? He walks behind him and the 2 garbage men are there and I think Art's there too and he just throws the piece of pizza in the trash can and then we zoom out and that's the end of the movie and it's like, oh, everybody we saw is back and... yeah, this monumental thing happened in this cul-de-sac, and now we zoom out, and that's just one little piece of America.
Yeah, that's the Burbs. That's the Burbs,
That's
folks.
the Burbs, yeah. Who are your neighbors? What are they doing? What's he building in there, as Tom Waits once said.
That's a good one.
You know, so...
he gets mail delivered with no return address.
I hear strange noises coming from the basement. You bringing up that video? Never been a huge Tom Waits fan. I love his spoken word and weird stuff like that, but his songs I've never been a huge fan of. But
yeah, I got into him kind of in a serious way, like out of college. I was
okay, like in his lounge days.
Just buying all his albums and just like listen to him and like blasting out of my car just as an attempt to form an identity. Like I'm the Tom Waits guy.
Just like talking about Sopranos loudly in your work break room.
Yeah, basically. I was just like, well, I've already been the Sopranos guy. I'm not gonna be the Tom Waits guy.
Was this around the time where he came out with that triple album?
The what?
He came out with like that 3-disc or 3-record album.
Maybe it was like 3
things. It was like that was the title of it. It was like the mechanic, the something, or I don't know.
The last one I bought was like Bad as Me.
That is me.
I bought that like day of at Barnes & Noble. They're like, what are you doing here at 9 in the morning? Like, well, I'm here just to hang out and just because
You got there at 6 and it was raining and you stood there and Shane walked by and
fucking Shane.
Shane, God damn it. I don't know you. Why are you talking to me? That's another, that's how we are now. It's not like the Burbs. We don't talk to each other.
Though I'm looking forward to meeting my new neighbors or neighbor, whoever they may be, and welcoming them to my apartment building.
Great.
And then just wait. If I'm about to leave my apartment, I hear them outside. Just kind of wait for about until they go down the steps, and then leave my apartment.
Yeah, and then you peek out the door, and they are beating the hell out of a trash can with a hoe. I've never seen that. I've never seen a man drive this garbage to the end of his street and beat the hell out of it with a stick. I've never seen that.
What's he building in there?
What's he building in there? Anyway, we got to wrap this up.
Okay.
That's the Burbs.
That's the Burbs, folks.
If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend watching it. I guess Jiah, you would recommend this as well.
Yeah, I would peckamend it.
Yeah, peckamend it. Oh my God, is that it? All right, that's the thing now.
It's a thing now.
Yeah, and this same crew that brought you Gremlins, Joe versus the Volcano, I think.
Yeah, I just want to shout like a great resource for if you're ever listening to a movie we talk about and you're like, where is that? How do I watch it? There's a great website called justwatch.com where you kind of say like what services you subscribe to, and you can type in the title of a movie and it'll tell you where you can find that for free if you subscribe to the service, or even just how much it is to rent on like iTunes or YouTube. So right now, if you do subscribe to Amazon Prime Stars, you can watch The Burbs for free.
Great.
If not, you can rent it on Vudu for $3.99.
Very nice. You could also probably find a DVD of it at a thrift store for $2.
Or go to your library. The library has a lot of great
Go to your
selections.
library, yeah. I recently ordered the Blu-ray, I believe, off of Amazon, so this should be coming. I'm hoping for some special features, maybe some of those alternate endings. Some commentary.
I want a commentary with Tom Hanks.
Ooh, that'd be great. I wonder if he did that.
Does he do commentaries?
I've never heard one with him. But then again, I've never sought it out. And on that note...
Well, let's go meet our neighbors, Justin.
Yeah, you want to go meet our neighbors?
Yeah, let's go knock on some doors.
All right.
Halloween's still going on, right?
Yeah, Halloween's 3 months long now.
Right. All the holidays are all like kind of squished together now. So.
Yeah, all my neighbors still have their Halloween decorations up, and it's November. So
we have pumpkin pie. It's basically bookended by pumpkins. So like you've got pumpkins on your front porch on Halloween, and then pumpkin pie on your dinner plate for Thanksgiving. So that whole gap in between those 2 days, that's all open season for trick or treating, folks. Folks,
Great.
that's gonna be my new thing. It's called people folks.
All right, that sounds good. All right, let's go do it. All right. We'll catch you guys later. Rate, and subscribe.
Please write a review on.
Write a review
wherever you listen to this. It'd be cool. Just
tell people about it.
Yeah.
Say what?
Say good shit, man.
Good shit, man. That's all you have to say. Just 5 stars. Good shit, man.
All right.
Good. What'd you say earlier? Huge lasagna shit.
Huge
bear shit.
Bear shit. So baked ziti.
Yeah, baked ziti bear shit. Good baked ziti bear shit, man. All right.
See you later.